My name was Bruce and I thought I knew my wife Rebecca better than anyone. We had lived together for 8 years and I worked as a mechanic at a large auto service in Denver. Life seemed stable and predictable until strange little things started happening. At first it was just late returns from work. Rebecca worked at a marketing agency and said projects had become more complex. I didn't suspect anything wrong. Career is important, especially in such a difficult economic situation. Then came phone calls that she would take in another room. When I asked, she said it was work matters or friends discussing personal issues. It sounded logical. The strangest thing was how her sister Ashley changed. We used to get along well, often joking together when she came to visit. But in recent months, Ashley had been acting somewhat tense, as if hiding something important. She avoided my gaze and quickly changed the subject when it came to Rebecca. The breaking point came on a Saturday in March. Rebecca said she was going to a corporate event in Colorado Springs with colleagues. I planned to spend the day repairing an old motorcycle in the garage, but Ashley unexpectedly showed up. "Bruce, we need to talk," she said in a serious tone I had never heard before. I put down my wrench and turned to her. Ashley looked worried, her hands trembling. "What happened?" "It's about Rebecca. I can't hide this anymore." My heart started beating faster. I was preparing for the worst, but what Ashley said turned everything upside down. "She's not at a corporate event. She's with Kevin Palmer, that architect from her agency. They've been together for 4 months. The words hit like a hammer blow. Kevin Palmer? I knew his face from corporate parties. Tall, confident, with expensive suits and a brilliant smile. How do you know? I asked hoarsely. Ashley took out her phone and showed me photos. Rebecca and Kevin holding hands, kissing near a restaurant, entering a hotel together. The date showed the photos were taken this morning. I hired a private investigator a month ago, she confessed. I couldn't watch her deceive you. I sat in silence, digesting the information. Anger, pain, disappointment, everything mixed into one big feeling of emptiness. Why are you doing this? I finally asked. Ashley came closer. Because you're a good person, Bruce. You deserve the truth. And because... She hesitated, because I've always felt something more for you than just friendly feelings. It was like a second blow. In one day, I learned about my wife's betrayal and about her sister's feelings. I know this is complicated, Ashley continued. But we could show Rebecca what it means to lose someone important. Not for revenge, but so she understands the consequences of her actions. The plan was simple but brilliant. Ashley suggested we start dating, not real relationships, but a demonstration for Rebecca and everyone around us. We would appear together in public, act like a couple in love, and when Rebecca returned from her corporate event, she would see that she had lost not only her husband but also her sister's trust. Part of me understood this was wrong, but pain and anger took over. I agreed. The following weeks were a strange period. Ashley and I appeared at restaurants where mutual acquaintances could see us. We visited movie theaters, walked in parks. Ashley was smart, witty, and I began to understand why I hadn't noticed before how interesting she was. But during this time, something else was happening. What started as a fake relationship began to feel increasingly real. Ashley's laughter wasn't forced, her smiles weren't pretended. When she took my hand while we walked through the park, it felt natural, right? I found myself looking forward to our fake dates. We talked for hours about everything, about dreams, fears, childhood memories. I discovered that Ashley had always wanted to travel to Europe but was afraid to go alone. She dreamed of opening her own art studio but considered it too risky financially. You know, she said one evening as we sat on a bench overlooking the city, I sometimes think that if circumstances were different, we could have met first. What do you mean? I mean if I had met you before Rebecca did. If you had been free when we first met at that family dinner 5 years ago. I remembered that dinner. Ashley had just graduated from college, full of energy and ideas. Rebecca and I had been married for 3 years then and everything seemed perfect. Would it have made a difference? I asked. Ashley smiled sadly. I fell in love with you that very evening, Bruce. The way you talked about your work, how you cared for Rebecca, how you made everyone laugh with your stories about crazy customers at the garage. But you were taken and I learned to live with it. These words shook me. All these years, while I was building a life with Rebecca, Ashley had been carrying feelings for me, hidden but never extinguished. Meanwhile, Rebecca returned from her corporate event, and initially noticed nothing. But when rumors about Ashley and me began reaching her, her reaction was unexpected. Instead of jealousy or anger, she looked relieved. I was confused by her behavior. She didn't ask questions, didn't confront me, didn't even seem upset. Instead, she seemed to become more distant, as if she was preparing for something. The revelation came on a Thursday evening when she sat next to me on the couch. "Bruce, we need to talk." "About what?" "About us. About what we both know." I felt my muscles tense. "What exactly do we know?" Rebecca sighed. "I know about you and Ashley. And you probably know about me and Kevin." The game was revealed. I nodded. "You know what's strangest?" she continued. "I don't feel jealous. I'm even glad you found someone." "Glad?" "Yes, because it means we can both honestly admit our marriage is over. Not because of betrayal, not because of conflicts, but simply because we outgrew it." I looked at the woman I had lived with for 8 years and suddenly realized she was right. In recent years, we had existed side by side rather than lived together. We had become strangers under one roof. "What do you propose?" "A civilized divorce. We divide property fairly without court battles. You take your tools and motorcycle, I take my things. We sell the house, split the money in half." It was so simple and logical that it seemed unreal. "What about Ashley?" Rebecca smiled. "Ashley is an adult. She makes her own decisions. But if you truly love her, then I'm all for it." The next morning I called Ashley and told her about the conversation with Rebecca. I expected her to be surprised or upset that our revenge plan hadn't worked as expected. Instead she laughed. "Bruce, didn't you think that maybe there was no revenge at all?" "What do you mean?" "I really did hire a detective and found out about Kevin. But when I came to you that day, it wasn't only about the truth regarding Rebecca." My heart started beating faster again. "I came because I realized, here's a chance to finally tell you about my feelings. Rebecca would become free, you would become free, and maybe we could try something real." I was silent, pondering her words. "Our flirting these past weeks," Ashley continued, "for me it wasn't a game. I really started falling even deeper in love with you. What if Rebecca wasn't cheating? Then I would have remained silent for the rest of my life. But fate gave us a chance. But our story was far from over. What I didn't know was that Rebecca had been planning her exit for months. The corporate event story was just one of many lies she had been telling. She had been systematically preparing for divorce, consulting lawyers, moving money, even looking for apartments. A week later, Ashley came to me with a troubled expression. "Bruce, there's something else you need to know." "What now?" She showed me bank statements she had obtained through her detective. Rebecca had been transferring money from our joint accounts to a personal account for 6 months. Not large amounts that would be immediately noticed, but steady transfers that added up to a significant sum. "She's been planning this for a long time," Ashley said. "The affair with Kevin might have been recent, but the decision to leave you, that's been in the works for months." I felt a new wave of betrayal. It wasn't just about another man, it was about systematic deception, planning, preparing to abandon our life together while pretending everything was normal. "There's more," Ashley continued. "According to my detective, Kevin Palmer is married. He has no intention of leaving his wife. Rebecca doesn't know this." The irony was overwhelming. Rebecca was planning to leave me for a man who was using her, just as she was using our marriage as a cover while she prepared her escape. "What do we do with this information?" I asked. Ashley was quiet for a moment. "That's up to you. We could tell her or we could let her discover it herself." I thought about it for days. Part of me wanted to warn Rebecca despite everything. But another part of me felt that she had made her choices and would have to live with the consequences. The decision was made for us. A few days later, Rebecca came home earlier than expected and found Kevin's wife, Patricia Palmer, sitting in our living room with Ashley and me. Patricia was an elegant woman in her 50s, with silver hair and intelligent eyes that held both pain and determination. "Mrs. Palmer wanted to meet you," Ashley explained to the shocked Rebecca. Patricia stood up. "I've known about my husband's affairs for years. He's had many. You're just the latest." Rebecca's face went pale. I don't understand." "Kevin has no intention of leaving me," Patricia continued calmly. "We have 3 children, 2 grandchildren, and 30 years of marriage. His affairs are just hobbies. He always comes back." The room was silent except for the sound of Rebecca's ragged breathing. "I came here," Patricia continued, "because I thought you should know what you're really getting into. Kevin told me you're planning to leave your husband for him. I thought that was optimistic." Rebecca sank into a chair, her entire world crumbling around her. "He said he loved me," she whispered. Patricia's expression softened slightly. "I'm sure he did. Kevin is very good at making women feel special. It's his gift." After Patricia left, Rebecca sat in silence for a long time. Ashley and I waited, not sure what to say or do. Finally, Rebecca looked up at us. "I've been such a fool." "Rebecca," I started. "No, let me finish. I thought I was so smart, planning everything, preparing for a new life. I convinced myself that our marriage was dead and that Kevin was my salvation. I never stopped to consider that he might be lying too." She put her head in her hands. "I've lost everything, haven't I? My marriage, my self-respect, my future plans. All for a man who was just playing games." Ashley surprised us both by going to sit next to Rebecca. "You haven't lost everything," she said gently. "You've lost illusions, but sometimes that's necessary to find what's real." Rebecca looked at her sister with tears in her eyes. "How can you be kind to me after what I did? After I cheated on Bruce?" "Because you're my sister," Ashley said simply. "And because everyone deserves a chance to start over." I watched this interaction between the sisters and felt something shift inside me. My anger at Rebecca wasn't gone, but it was changing into something else. Pity, perhaps, or just understanding that she had been as lost as I had been in our marriage. The divorce proceeded as Rebecca had originally proposed, civilized and fair. But the atmosphere was different now. Instead of the relief Rebecca had initially felt, there was sadness and regret. She had lost not just a husband, but her dignity and her dreams of a new life. Kevin Palmer, when confronted by Rebecca about his lies, simply shrugged and said that marriage had never been discussed. He moved on to his next conquest without a backward glance. 3 months after the divorce was finalized, Rebecca did move to Austin, but not for love or adventure. She moved because she couldn't bear to stay in Denver, where every corner reminded her of her mistakes. Before she left, she asked to speak with Ashley and me one last time. "I want to apologize," she said. "Not just for the cheating but for the lying, the planning, the deception. I became someone I didn't recognize and I hurt the people who cared about me most." She looked at Ashley. "I'm happy that you two found each other. Really. And I'm sorry it had to happen this way." "Rebecca," Ashley said, "we all make mistakes. What matters is what we learn from them." Rebecca nodded. "I've learned that running away from problems doesn't solve them. It just creates new ones." As we watched her drive away, Ashley took my hand. "Do you think she'll be okay?" she asked. "Eventually," I said. "People are stronger than they think they are." Ashley and I moved slowly in our relationship. Despite everything that had happened, we both needed time to process the end of my marriage and the beginning of our new life together. We went to couples counseling not because we were having problems, but because we wanted to build our relationship on a foundation of honest communication. The counselor helped us work through the complex emotions of how we had gotten together. The guilt, the sense that our happiness had come at the cost of someone else's pain, the worry that our relationship was built on deception even though it had grown into something genuine. "Unusual circumstances don't invalidate genuine feelings," our counselor told us. "What matters is how you move forward from here." We took her advice to heart. We dated properly, got to know each other without the shadow of secrecy and schemes. I discovered that Ashley was even more wonderful than I had realized during our fake relationship. She was supportive of my career, encouraging me when I expressed interest in opening my own garage. She was creative and passionate, turning her art hobby into a successful side business selling paintings to local restaurants and offices. A year after my divorce, I proposed to Ashley on the same bench where she had told me about her long-hidden feelings. She said yes, and we planned a small wedding with close friends and family. Rebecca sent a card congratulating us. Inside she had written, "Thank you for showing me what real love looks like. I hope someday I'll find something half as genuine as what you two have." We heard from mutual friends that Rebecca had started therapy in Austin and was slowly rebuilding her life. She had taken a job at a nonprofit organization, saying she wanted to do something meaningful with her life. She was dating occasionally but wasn't rushing into anything serious. "I need to learn how to be alone before I can be with someone else," she had told a friend. As for Ashley and me, we built our life together carefully and deliberately. We bought a small house with a big garage where I could work on cars and motorcycles, and a sunny room that Ashley converted into her art studio. We traveled to Europe for our honeymoon, fulfilling one of Ashley's long-held dreams. Sometimes, late at night, we would talk about how we had come together. "Do you ever feel guilty?" Ashley asked one evening as we watched the sunset from our back porch. "About what?" "About being happy when our happiness came from someone else's pain." I thought about it. "I feel sorry for Rebecca," I said finally. "I wish things could have ended differently for all of us. But I don't feel guilty about loving you or about building a life with you. We didn't set out to hurt anyone. We just found each other." Ashley nodded. I think about that night I came to tell you about Rebecca's affair. What if I had just told you the truth and walked away? What if I hadn't suggested our fake relationship? Then maybe we would never have discovered what we could have together, I said. Maybe we would have remained friends but nothing more. Maybe you would have kept your feelings hidden forever. Do you think we would have found each other eventually, even without all the drama? It was a question we would never be able to answer. But looking at Ashley, seeing the peace and happiness in her eyes, I couldn't bring myself to regret the path that had brought us together. I don't know, I said honestly. But I'm grateful for what we have now. 2 years later we received an unexpected visitor. Rebecca stood on our doorstep, looking healthier and happier than I had seen her in years. I hope it's okay that I'm here, she said. I was in town for work and I wanted to see you both. We invited her in for coffee, and she told us about her new life in Austin. She had been promoted at the nonprofit, had bought a small house, and was in a stable relationship with a teacher named Mark. He's nothing like Kevin, she said with a laugh. He's quiet, steady, honest. Maybe a little boring, but I've had enough excitement for one lifetime. She looked around our home, taking in the photos of our travels, the art Ashley had created, the general sense of contentment that filled the space. You two look happy, she said. We are, Ashley replied simply. Rebecca nodded. I'm glad. Really, truly glad. She paused. I owe you both another apology. I've been in therapy for 2 years now, and I've come to understand some things about myself that I didn't like. I was selfish, I was cowardly, and I was cruel. I hurt you both, and I nearly destroyed something beautiful before it even had a chance to begin. Rebecca, I said, we've all moved on. You don't need to keep apologizing. Yes, I do, she said firmly. Because I need you to know that I understand what I did. I need you to know that I take full responsibility for my actions. And I need you to know that seeing you both so happy, it helps me forgive myself. We talked for another hour, catching up on mutual friends, sharing stories about our new lives. When Rebecca got up to leave, she hugged us both. Take care of each other, she said. What you have is rare and precious. Don't ever take it for granted. After she left, Ashley and I sat on our couch in comfortable silence. How do you feel? I asked. Relieved, I think, Ashley said. It's good to know she's okay. It's good to know she doesn't hate us. Did you think she did? Sometimes I worried that she did. That maybe she blamed us for how everything turned out. I took Ashley's hand. Her choices were her own. Just like ours were ours. I love you, Bruce, she said. I love you too. Looking back on everything that had happened, the betrayal, the deception, the fake relationship that became real, the pain and the healing, I realized that sometimes the most important moments in our lives come disguised as disasters. Rebecca's affair had seemed like the end of the world, but it had actually been the beginning of something better for all of us. She had found the courage to start over and build a life based on honesty rather than deception. Ashley had found the courage to express feelings she had hidden for years. And I had found love in the most unexpected place, with someone who had been there all along, waiting patiently for the right moment to step into the light. Not every story has a happy ending, but sometimes the endings we don't expect turn out to be exactly what we needed. Thank you for watching the video to the end. Maybe YouTube will no longer offer you my channel, so subscribe to it by clicking subscribe on the right under the video to receive new interesting stories. Also on the right of the video there is a playlist with other interesting stories that you can listen to, and you can also write in the comments what stories you would like to see on the channel.